Good afternoon and welcome back to the West Ham Network. West Ham have booked our place in the fifth round of the FA Cup after a 2-0 victory over League One side Derby County. Lots of people doubted us, but on a night where West Ham fans sang David Moyes' name once again in the stands, West Ham did take an early lead in the first half thanks to a Jared Bowen goal, and Mickey Antonio respectively sealed the win at Pride Park, booking us a trip to Manchester United in next month's fifth round. So, what are we here for today? Well, we're here to give you the player ratings and get some of your views on the game. Loads of people doubted us. Loads of people stuck by. Now, that doesn't mean that people who doubt the situation will stick by the team. I don't mean it like that. But what I mean by this is that this game will have done the West Ham aura the world of good. The fans would have buzzed off the consecutive backed win after, of course, we beat Everton last weekend. This had banana skin written all over it, but we didn't fall to that pressure when other teams can do. Now, don't know how many times it has been in the last decade that we've got Manchester United in a cup competition. It's a bit boring because you're just looking for something a bit more exciting. So it's a bit of a shit one, really, for us, but we take what comes in front of us. But the main thing is we got ourselves into the draw of the fifth round of the FA Cup. That means we're still on 3 competitions, albeit the Premier League is not going so well right now. But what we need to do is try and transition this element of confidence, this motivation, and move this forward into the Premier League. It is vital. It is vital that we do that sooner rather than later. The next couple of games we've got coming up, getting something from them is vital for us to progress as a team, as a unit, and show people that we are capable on the day. I don't want to get carried away. I know I can get carried away sometimes when I watch these stuff and watch the games, etc. But there are positives to take, and we can't deny that, and we have to take those positives from this game. This is why I've titled the show Pure Quality. It's not necessarily about the performance. It's about individual players, the quality that they can add to West Ham as we move forward. Now, if you are new around here, please definitely do this, what I'm about to ask you to do. Hit that cheeky subscribe button. This does help us out. We're on the march towards 20,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd be saying that, but we are. So hit that button. That really does give us a helping hand on the channel. That's if I can actually press the button. I don't even know if I've pressed it or not. But if you do see a little subscribe button coming up at the bottom there, click it, help us out. It's not actually on the screen, it's in whatever device you are watching, then please do that. There is also a bell notification as well. Now, chat amongst yourself, because on today's show, I'm actually not going to bring up the comments because I am, as you will have seen, we're bringing out regular transfer stories and regular updates. So I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to give you your choice to put your votes in for who you think deserves to get man of the match, and also put in your player ratings as well. So let me get started on the player ratings because we do have a lot to get through. So first up on the player ratings, he was brought back in to the team in the starting lineup, and that was his first start actually in 2.5 months. So a big game for him today, and he missed the third round trip against Brentford with a minor hip issue, and he had really little to deal with in the first half, despite some first half promise shown by Derby. He held his own at crosses well, forced into a late save from a Lewis Dobbin shot, but his distribution was really the key element for me today. His distribution was fast. He was collecting the ball from his feet. He was distributing it really well. He was pinpoint passes to the players far up the field, and he was thinking quickly all the time, and sometimes was creating something from absolutely nothing. So on that basis, I've actually scored him reasonably high as a goalkeeper. So rate it now if you are watching. Rate your player ratings now. I've given him a 7. I've given him a solid 7 because sometimes, when there's not a lot getting sprayed at you, it's about what else you're doing on the park that I've added value. To me, he added a lot of value today because of his distribution alone. So yeah, I was delighted with his performance today. Now, next up is Ben Johnson. Now, it was his first start for West Ham for a long time. And for me, I've been calling for Ben Johnson to come into the team for a little while. And it's so funny when you listen to West Ham fans and you get 50% of fans who don't like him, 50% of fans that do like him. And earlier on yesterday, you heard rumours about Everton coming in to try and sign the player. Obviously, I don't think that will happen, but we'll have to wait and see. There's still plenty of time left today. So put your ratings in for Ben Johnson. For me personally, I thought he had actually a really good game. What the key element was about where he was on the park. He kept driving forward for West Ham, and because we've got pace back there with Thilo Kehrer and Aguerd either side of Ogbonna, then that allowed Ben Johnson to get further forward. And that's one of the key elements I think we've struggled with all season, is not having a player that can get forward and always having to rely on Jared Bowen to track back. Jared Bowen felt a little bit more comfortable with Ben Johnson. I didn't think he had the greatest of first halves, but he did improve after the break. He offered a threat out wide. He had a shot on goal. He actually put a really lovely ball in to the box that Jared Bowen nearly got close to getting as well. But I think he can push. I think he really can push and challenge for a spot in the team again. I've given him a 6 because, for me personally, I think everyone starts off at a 5, and if they perform okay, they go up a point. If they don't perform well, they start to go down the opposite way. So for me, I've given Benny Johnson a 6. Let's hope he does sign a contract and can get a run in the team. Now, Thilo Kehrer, he's been up for so much criticism since he's joined West Ham. Sometimes up for some mistakes he makes and looks uncomfortable. But then again, equally though, and the same as Ben Johnson, he's had to cover in so many different positions in the West Ham team. He's had to play left of the centre-backs, right of the centre-backs of a back three. He's had to play right back for West Ham. And then recently, obviously, we've seen him play at left back, and it was one of the worst performances I've seen in a West Ham shirt. So put your predictions in now about Thilo Kehrer. And he's struggled for minutes since the World Cup, and he's equally to get a chance with Germany as he has with West Ham. And now, due to Kurt Zouma's injury, that led to him starting on the right-hand side of centre-back alongside Ogbonna. You could say he was the weakest of the back three, but that's also because the other two were very, very good. And when your head is dropped and you're feeling down and, you might not perform at the best of your ability, and a couple of times when he was on the ball, I was panicking. I was thinking, what's he going to do with this? And he did well. And I've got to give him credit for that. And when the going gets tough, you've got to step up. And I think he stepped up within reason today. So for that alone, I give him a 6, especially the fact that West Ham got and picked up a clean sheet. So put your markers in. Ogbonna, listen, I've been the biggest critic of this guy. He captained West Ham with Declan Rice sitting on the bench. He made huge clearances in the game, and he intervened when he needed to as well. He was really good again after the break. He had less to do, but he was solid. And do you know what? He's starting to hit a bit of form. And I didn't think this guy would come back from the injury that he did at the age he is. He's proven people wrong. And we've said it all along. Matt said it again last night. He is like a fine wine. He gets better the older he gets. And he is. I just can't believe he's come back from an injury to perform at the level he has, especially, albeit against Everton and again against Derby. And now currently is one of our first choice centre-backs because we have no other choices. I think really what helps him is Kehrer and Aguerd with the pace either side of him. So put your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on ratings for Angelo Ogbonna. I've given him a 7. I think he absolutely deserved that today. He was phenomenal, and he really does seem to enjoy playing beside Naif Aguerd. And who wouldn't? Which takes me perfectly onto this geezer right here. His £30 million summer signing, you could say star signing of the summer, and why West Ham potentially have not been playing that well recently. Put your votes in right now and let me know what you think out of 10. This guy didn't and hardly ever really puts a foot wrong on the left-hand side of the centre-back trio. He's classy, he's controlled, he's collected in the back line, he's clever with his positioning, he talks in the game, he dominates in the defence. He looks really suited well to this West Ham side. You can tell that the class is there. You can just tell it. It oozes from the guy. He sprays passes across the field. He can read the game. It's the player we've been missing for so long in the defence. We need to build our team around this guy. This geezer's the real deal. I've given him, and I think I probably could have scored him higher if I'm being brutally honest, but I've given him a star. I've given him a 7 and a gold. I've star man. There's a couple of star men in tonight's one, so today's show. So keep your eye on that. But I mean, probably should have scored him an 8, to be honest, because he was phenomenal back there. Nothing would get by him. Nothing would phase him. He would gallop forward. He would collect the ball off one of the Derby attackers, and then he'd gallop forward, skip round the players, no problem at all. Nothing, ease. So I've given him a 7, potentially harsh. But yeah, there you go. Top performance from a top player. Just to remind you, I'm not going to bring up the comments today just because it's been a hectic day with the transfer window. So I'm going to keep moving forward. And then I'm going to talk about Emerson Palmieri, who again was favoured at that position as the left wing back. And I thought he actually had a really solid game. He attacked well at times, especially when Benrahma was introduced. And what I've actually seen is they're actually really linking up well. There seems to be a good understanding between the two players. And he looks quite promising at getting forward. And he seems to have potentially nailed down that left wing back spot right now. And I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of doubted him a little bit slightly. And he is able to attack and do a solid job. So I was really impressed and have been impressed lately with Emerson. So put your scores in the chat right now and let me know your thoughts. What you'd give Emerson out of 10. I gave him a 7. Don't think he was a star man, but I thought he put in a really solid performance there. He caused Derby problems left, right, and centre, and it's quite exciting actually to see what he's capable of doing. Him and Ben Johnson drove West Ham forward, and that's exactly what he was there to do today. So yeah, really impressed with him. Now next on to Tommy Souček, again another player who's not been stepping up this season, but you could say he's starting to find a little bit of form, and this was a fantastic performance from him tonight. Even though you could say the opposition was in the lower leagues, he had great movement, he had technical quality in the build-up for Bowen's opener, and he had, no fear. He put his head in there and he got that assist for Bowen to score the goal. Really good long passing, really randomly actually as well, spraying balls left, right, and centre, 50 yards, 40 yards, and making connections. I think he got 3/4 of successful long passes as well. And he got forward and he was taking confidence in the game left, right, and centre. And if you get a Tommy Souček performing at that level, doing what he's doing, then that's a very good Tommy Souček you want in your squad. So rate him now out of 10. Let me know your thoughts. I've given him a solid 7. Can't see why I would give him anything less, to be honest. So yeah, give him credit where credit is due. And I think that one of the reasons why he gets that credit and why that credit was due was because of this man, Flynn Downs. He was back in the side and he was extremely tidy in everything. We did a show last night. People were saying he played the ball backwards. I don't think he played the ball backwards to the level that people think he did. But I think sometimes in football teams, you need a player who can break up the play, who can play the ball sideways, who can calm the game down and allow the players in front of him to do the job they did. He was there. He interfered with play. And he has done every time he's performed on the park for West Ham. He controlled the game at times. And he's worked well, really, as part of the build-up for Jarrod Bowen's goal. A really, really encouraging performance from him. And it was probably his first proper run-out since before the World Cup. He offered plenty going forward and at the back, pressing high, and he started moves and he tackled and he interfered with play. That's exactly what you want from a central midfielder. Actually, enough to make me go, do you know what? Yeah, maybe I can see Downs, Paqueta and Rice playing in the same team, which many of you who are watching now have suggested before as well. So what are you giving him out of 10? I'm giving him another star 7. He is my second joint player who played fantastic. Quality, pure quality, and an exciting future actually for Flynn Downs at West Ham. Makes you feel a little bit more confident or competent that you've got a player potentially stepping in if we do know that the Rice does leave the club in the summer. So fair play to you, Flynn. Absolutely delighted and excited to see what the future holds for you. Now listen, hands down, I love this guy, man. I've always loved this guy. I can't believe he lives in West Ham and East End in London, and he just loves it, and he's doing it for the West Ham fans. And his direct pass started off the move for Antonio to make it 2 in the game, but he got into really good space during the game. I tell you what, man, when you look at his heat map, he's a ridiculous human. He was everywhere. He was absolutely everywhere. And what he actually did again today was bridge that gap between the midfield and the striker. That went under the radar through the game. I really rated him. ITV actually gave him their man of the match. Now, I'm not saying he was the man of the match. I think he was up there with one of the players who performed to the highest of levels today. That's why I'm giving him a solid 7. There's a lot of 7s going round, but why not? Put your score in and let me know your thoughts on Mr. Pablo Fornals. Now, Jarrod Bowen, He's really on a run of form, adding to his double at Everton with a goal and a hand in the other. His finish was similar to those against Everton, latching onto Souček's header to stab home the volley, where Derby could not control it. He was constantly a threat, pressing. Bowen latched on turn unsuccessful. Curtis Davis, clearance, getting down at the right, putting the ball into the box when Antonio headed it in after a deflection, and also had a few other chances that he'll be disappointed that he didn't convert. He will be absolutely disappointed that he didn't convert and get a few more goals under his belt. But a really good performance from Jarrod Bowen today, and a player that needed to step up and has been in the recent weeks, has stepped up when he's not been this season. I'm giving him another star 7. I thought he was a threat, constant threat through the game, hitting form at the right time in preparation for the Newcastle game. And that's all we can ask for. Let's keep this momentum going. Put your scores in. Let me know what you score Jarrod Bowen out of 10 as well. Antonio, amid lengths of an exit, could be out the door. He had a really good game, and perhaps one that he really, really needed. Really good hold-up play, and some of that skill, man. That Bergkamp turn was just absolutely phenomenal. He took a touch from the ball, picked it out of the air, took it around the player, span around the player, drove forward, played in a pass. But could you imagine he continued and scored that goal? My word, man, that would have caused anyone. That would have been replayed for years to come. But I tell you what, that's a game he needed under his belt ahead of the Premier League game this weekend. So really good for him. Delighted for him. Good performance. And another player that's not been performing this year, but has slightly picked up a little bit of performance late. Again, another 7 for me was in there, and let me know out of 10 what you think you would give him. Now, a couple of the substitutes. Said Benrahma, in typical Moyes fashion, he was introduced just over 25 minutes of the tie remaining, aiming to make it 2 goals in as many games in this competition after winning the game against Brentford with a fantastic goal. And he replaced Antonio up front. He added a lot of threat going forward, and even when we were 2 goals up, he had great link-up play, that definite with Emerson, and that definite touch for Jarrod Bowen when Jarrod Bowen should have done a lot better. He had an assist there. Fantastic player. Looked the business. I mean, considering he had 25 minutes, I gave him a solid 6. He could even get a 7. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he added threat, determination, fight, skill set, creativity. Really, really good. So really proud of Mr. Said Benrahma. Put your scores in and let me know. And last but not least, Devin Mubama, the 18-year-old striker who scored 15 goals in 11 youth appearances. He got 12 to 15 minutes at the end to strut stuff. And I tell you what, not a huge amount to do, but everything that he did do was standing up to the play. At one point, he held off 3 Derby players that drew them into making a foul, and we won a free kick from it. Great link-up play, dropped deep, collected the ball, played in the midfield, made runs. Excited about this guy. I really am excited about this guy. But how many times have we been here before? How many times have we been here before? I wasn't necessarily going to score him, but he deserves a 5. He never put a foot wrong at all. So he is definitely got an exciting future, and fingers crossed it's going to be with our beloved West Ham. David Moyes will be delighted with that. We'll be delighted with that. The key thing here is we've got pure quality players, pure quality players. It's about making sure that they can collectively work as a unit and do the job together. And that's what we need to do. It's the thing that Moyes has said for so long: consistency, momentum, positivity. Take that into the games, and you can see what happens when that happens. When you get a bounce of games, we've got back-to-back wins for the first time in a long time. The fans start to feel the vibe of winning again, and it's like, oh my God, where has this been all our lives? So positive result for West Ham, albeit against League One opposition in the FA Cup, which could have been a banana skin for us, but we got through. We faced Manchester United next in the 5th round, but we move the FA Cup to one side as we concentrate and start to pick up points, which is what we desperately need in the Premier League. Go check out the transfer deadline shows we've had out this morning. Loads of stuff coming your way over today. Loads. And tonight we've got a live transfer show deadline day for you as well. It's short and sweet for you today. I've not had a chance, but I'll put up some of the comments, but I won't be responding to them. Stay safe, everyone. And of course, what do I always say? Come on, you Irons.